players in pigtails. And this is all about girls out there because it is Women's History Month and making sure that you have a chance to play sports just like our brothers and the boys that we know. So Players in Pigtails is a story about women in baseball or softball. So thanks for being here. Hola comunidad de Greenfield, Superintendent Galvan. Leyendo historias celebrando la mujer este mes de marzo. Y esta historia es sobre las mujeres y las niñas que juegan deportes. Y es muy importante que ellas también tienen la oportunidad de jugar. Y esta historia es sobre una niña. So here we go. Let's go. Katie Casey wasn't good at being a girl. At least not that kind of girl that you think everyone should be. Her clothing was crumpled, her knitting was knotted, and her dancing was a disaster. She went to the ballpark every chance she got. She loved hot dogs and peanuts, and she loved shouting and singing, and most of all, she loved watching professional baseballers play. Sometimes she even imagined herself being one of them. Every spring, she would show up at Fairfield High during their tryouts, and every spring she was turned away without even giving a try. Better stick to ballet, the boys said. What good is baseball to a girl anyways? Well, both baseball was starting to change. America was at war, and more at the country's boys, including the professional baseball players, were going to have to go off in the military to fight. The fields were left empty, and the fans were getting frantic. Even President Roosevelt was worried. Because the country, what is the country without its national pastime, baseball? All over the country, girls started playing ball, and they played just as good as boys in Washington, in Texas, in California, in Florida, in Louisiana, and in New York. One of them was Katie Casey. Say, sister, said a scout when he was throwing a curveball. How'd you like to go play for Chicago to try out for a real team? What? Absolutely. She didn't even have to think twice. She went straight home and got ready. When she got to Wrigley Field, she broke into a grin. She was so happy that there were hundreds of girls there ready to play baseball. They all loved baseball. They were just like Katie. Everyone was curious about the strange happening at Wrigley Field. Unheard of, they said. Girls don't like sports. It's certainly not ladylike. What good is baseball to a girl anyways? The league managers heard the talk and their stomachs started to twitch. They knew their girls were ready to play ball, but maybe the country wasn't ready for them. The managers decided to launch an emergency campaign to show the country how great these baseball players were, that ladies could be baseball players. And on opening day, 16 swanky-like players emerged from the locker room and onto the field, but everything wasn't right. Katie heard a giggling in the stands. It grew louder and louder. Careful, you might break a nail, someone screamed. Players in pigtails? Is this the ballroom or the baseball park? And so the All-American Girls Baseball League started to play. And they played, and they played, and they played. And they stepped on the plate and looked out in the stands. They started playing and crack! They were hitting home runs. It's a grand slam home run, shouted the announcer. The crowd grew wild, and Katie cheered right along with them because for once, no one was asking what good baseball was to a girl. They saw that girls were just as good. And that's the end. Wow, Girls in Pigtails. And this is actually a real story about when our boys went to war because only boys could go to war and the girls stayed home. And the girls started playing baseball and they did a really great job. So if you're into sports, you might want to look up some stories about baseball history. Thanks so much for joining me here, boys and girls. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you here tomorrow night with another awesome story. So we're now Galvan here with the Greenfield School District, sending a great big bear hug from our family to yours.